Hello everyone, welcome to Prakash IT. Today we are going to s- start our first example of Spring MVC. Okay, so as part of our last session, we have covered the overall flow how Spring Web MVC works. Okay, that we have seen as part of our last session. Okay, so let me quickly create the application so that we can work with the first WebMVC application as part of this today's tutorial. Okay, so this is for the first application we are going to work. So I am showing how to create the web application. Okay, so what I am going to do, I am going to go to new file, then module. Here I am going to write fast web MVC. Okay, this is our the application name, fast web MVC. Okay, okay, so inside this, if I go to that Spring this one, and I have created one module called Spring MVC. This is the one. Inside this the application will be created, and I'm going to choose the web application. Okay, and as usual, like I'm going to create the application package com dot Rakas IT. Okay, so this is what I'm going to create. So it will take some time to create the application, and then what we will do, we'll just configure all the required dependencies for our application to in order to work with the Spring Web MVC application. Okay, so in order to work with the Web MVC application, you have to understand all the flows clearly, how the request, whenever the user sends the request, how the flow actually works, and then how to work with the application. Okay, that I'm going to show you, though we have understood the theoretical session last class. Okay, let me quickly we are using JDK 17, and as part of the dependency, let me cut this, and here I will try to write the Jakarta servlet API. Servlet we are going to use inside this servlet, though since we are going to work with the dispatcher servlet, right? That is a servlet, so that is why I am including this servlet API. Okay, so here we are using 6.0.0, that is the I can say the servlet latest version 6.x we are working. And one more thing, we just wanted to include in order to work with the Spring Web MVC, what we have to include? We have to include the Spring hyphen Web MVC. Yes, Web MVC. This is the things we just wanted to include. Okay, here also we are using 6.0.12. This is the version we are using. These are the two things we need to include while working on the Spring Web MVC. That is the servlet API and the Spring Web MVC, and here we are using the JDK 17. Okay, so since this is our first application, I am showing everything. From the next class onwards, directly we will work on the uh, uh, whatever the business use case we want, or whatever the use case we want to cover, that directly we will work. Okay, so so let me go to this one main class, and this is, let me create the directory, that is Java, and this configuration takes time, so that is why I used to create the all these stuffs to save some time. Okay, since this is the first time, I'm just showing this one. Okay, so whenever the user sends the request, let me tell you, whenever the user sends the request to our MVC application, then there is a thing called a dispatcher servlet, that is the front controller in Spring, that is called dispatcher servlet. Okay, that will take the request. Okay, that will configure. Before that, let me create let me create let me configure the dispatcher servlet. Dispatcher servlet we need to configure inside this webinf web.xml. Okay, so this is our dispatcher servlet we need to configure. In order to configure the dispatcher servlet, what we have to do, we have to include, this is a servlet, right? Dispatcher servlet, by name you can you got to know that uh, this is a servlet. So whenever, as part of the servlet, whenever the user sends the request, we used to write the servlet class. For example, if we have a login servlet, whenever the user submit the form, login username password, then submit the hit button, submit by using the clicking on the submit button, then the request goes to the login form, right? Login servlet. So in order to the request go to the login servlet, so we have to configure the servlet by using this servlet, and whatever the things we have to use servlet mapping. These are the two things we need to configure in as part of our application if we are using the XML file configuration. Okay. Otherwise we can make use of the servlet annotations, right? Okay, let me show you a couple of example with the XML. Then we can switch to annotation approach, right? Okay, so let me tell you. We are going to name either welcome. Welcome is our servlet name. This is the servlet name, and this is servlet name and servlet class. Okay, the servlet class is nothing but here what we are going to configure. We are going to, whenever the user sends the request, the user will be trapped first, will trapped by the servlet, that is the dispatcher servlet. Here we are going to, instead of we create the servlet, dispatcher servlet, the Spring people, what they have done, they have provided the dispatcher servlet for us. We no need to explicitly to create the dispatcher servlet. Okay, so what we can do, we can directly configure here as a servlet class, as a class. Okay, so in order to get that, here I can do control N. So here we'll search dispatcher servlet. Okay, dispatcher servlet. Okay, this is the dispatcher servlet. In order to, okay, so I mean to say, we need to configure the dispatcher servlet. Okay, so if we write the class, then we used to provide the class name there. Okay, since we are not creating, we search the class name. This is the servlet dot dispatcher servlet. Okay, this is the class name, fully qualified name we have to provide in order to get that. Okay, so it will auto detect. Okay, okay, fine, we have configured the servlet, and this is the welcome and URL pattern. For example, here we will give the URL pattern whenever the user will request with slash user, then slash, then star. Whenever the user will request by taking the context path and then slash user and then anything. If the user tries to send a request, then it will, this application will take that, this dispatcher servlet will take that request, and whatever the after user, whatever the things we will provide, then it will map to the appropriate controller. Okay, appropriate controller. Then let me write the controller. This is a class. Let me write the welcome controller. This is the welcome controller I have written. So to make this controller as a on this class as a controller class, so we have to annotate this class as a controller annotation. So this is a stereotype annotation. So what does it mean? If it will make this class as a controller class. This is a special case of the, we are using the component scan, right? Whenever we are using the component scan on top of any class, and we run we deploy this application, we deploy our application into the server, then IOC container will check by the component scanning. If there is a component scan is the any class is annotated with the component scanning, then it is the IOC container will create the bin ID of that object, and that ID it will put into the IOC container, so that whenever required we can make use of this class object. Okay, fine. So similarly, this is the controller is also the special case of component scan. What it will do, it will create that if we annotate the class with the controller, it will act as a controller class, and it will help to create the bin of that class. Okay, so similar as compared to component scanning, we have to configure the component scan in the config file, right? So similarly, in order to configure this class to be to automatically scan by the IOC container, what it will do, so we have to write the configuration class. Okay, so let me go to the web.xml file. Here we have written this servlet name. Okay, right, this is the welcome. Okay, so if we write the configuration class, we used to write application hyphen context.xml in our previous in our old examples, right? But here while working with the web MVC, what we need to do here is like the convention we need to follow whatever the Spring MVC has provided. Okay, the convention is whatever the servlet name we are passing, instead of any name dot beans.xml or application hyphen context.xml, we have to write inside the webinf, that is the name. Okay, so sorry, let me create the file. This is the convention is whatever the servlet name we have passed, welcome hyphen servlet.xml, we have to append hyphen servlet.xml. This is the things we need to append. Okay, this is the convention. This will act as a configuration file like application hyphen context.xml xml file we are providing, right? So that context file, whatever the things we need to add, that we need to get from the documentation. Okay, so Spring Web MVC configuration file example. Okay, so if wanted to remember, we can find here. If I go to this one, okay, this is the things I just wanted to copy. Okay, so if I go to this, I will paste that, and I will just cut this. Okay, this is the things. This is the things I just wanted to add. And here, let me tell you one thing. Uh, to make the application as a, so here we are using the controller class, right? Controller in order to auto detect by the IOC container. So what we have to do? We have to configure context colon component scan. Context colon component scan, and the base package is com dot prakash id. This is the package it will search. Okay, this is the package it will search prakash id, whatever the whatever the class that is there inside this package, it will be auto detected by this if we provide this component scan, right? So once that is scanned, and it will find this class, right? We have annotated we have annotated this class as a array controller. What it will do? It will create the bin for this class, as we have annotated this as a controller class. Okay, so what I'm going to write here is like I'm going to write one method inside this controller, public string, and welcome is the message, welcome is the method name, just a dummy message, dummy method name I am writing. And what it will return? So as we have studied this controller, once the user sends the request will first come to the dispatcher servlet. From this dispatcher servlet, the request will go to the this controller class, and the controller class, it may contact, it may communicate with the service. If we have the service layer, we are working with the controller class now, right now. If remember, if there is any service or DAO layer, we have the controller layer will communicate with the service layer will communicate with the DAO layer and database, and it whatever the operation it want to perform, it will perform, and it will again come back to this controller class. Okay, from the DAO to service to then controller. Okay, from this controller, what it will return? It will return one logical name, logical view name. Okay, but before, like, okay, so after the processing, we just wanted to show one page. One page means JSP file. For example, here specifically I want to say JSP file. For example, the file name is welcome file, welcome dot JSP. This is the file. So in order to, it will send, it will just, what it will send? It will send the logical name. Logical name is welcome. So there is some other things also there. So what I mean to say, that part I will show you how to work with the Spring MVC. Before that, let me show you some other things. So without the logical name, how we can work with the by hard coding this file. Okay, so I will show you two different versions. So that is my intention here. Okay, so then I will show you how actually we should work while working with the Spring MVC. Okay, so whenever the processing has been completed, so in order to render the data, here we should render some data to the user. Okay, what is my intention? Whenever the user send the request, the user the client. User means the client. Whenever the client send the request to our application, then our application should send some data, right? So what we are doing after processing, we are sending the data, whatever to the whatever the data we want to send to the client, that we are sending as part of this controller. Okay, so in order to show this data to the client, we will show we will make use of one JSP file. Okay, how to work with the JSP file? You can follow my JSP tutorial. So how to work with the JSP file? Okay, that I'm not going to touch. I'm simply I'll go to this web. I will create one directory name views. Inside this views directory, we are going to put all the JSP file. The JSP file name is welcome.jsp. Okay, this is the file name. Welcome.jsp is the file name. What I will do, I will copy the inbuilt these things, and I will delete this index.jsp that is provided while creating the application. We got this, and I will just simply paste, and hello world, instead of hello world, what I'm going to write, I'm going to write hello well welcome to fast web MVC app. Okay, this is a simple message. Okay, fine. So what my intention here is, like, while writing, so what I want to show here is basically actually we should return this kind of logical name, but instead of the logical name, I'm just wanted to show you by hard coding this value. So my intention is, like, after the processing we should send, so this welcome file name that is reside under the web.inf, then views, then welcome.jsp. So the name is slash web hyphen inf, then slash, then views, then slash, okay, not dot, this is the slash, then dot JSP. Okay, this is the full name of the JSP. Okay, okay. So controller we have written, but whenever the user send the request, so user will send the request by web.xml, that is the slash user slash, then here, in order to the request come to this particular method, we have to annotate this method with the request mapping. Okay, request mapping, and here we will provide some URL, to which URL it should respond. So for example, we will write one welcome is the URL name. So user should send the context path, then user slash, then welcome, then only the request will come to this one, this particular method. Okay. Okay, I think all the things we have completed now. Then servlet.xml. Okay, so in order to work with the application, MVC application, what we have to do, we have to write MVC colon annotation driven. Okay, so what is the job of this? If we annotate this, then it will activate to work with the, okay, let's study, let learn what is written. Configure the annotation driven Spring MVC controller programming model. Okay, okay. So this tag works in WebMVC only. Okay, so in order to work with the Spring WebMVC, we need to annotate this one. Okay, to activate the WebMVC annotation driven approach. Okay, okay. So I hope everything is completed. Now let me deploy our application. Run Tomcat server. Then we have to use this one. Use class path module. First WebMVC. This is our class path module, and apply, then run. Okay, we may get issue because we have not changed these things. Okay, this web app, not this one, the latest, since we are using the latest servlet, so we have to use this one. Okay, otherwise our application will not work, may not work. Okay, so for the safer side, I'm using this one, latest version. So let me, I have restarted the application, I have deployed the application just now. Okay, let the process complete, then we'll hit our application with this. Okay, this is our first application. Let me copy this and let me go to here, and here webmbc slash our, this is user slash welcome. Okay, so this is our endpoint, right? If you go to web.xml, If I go to the web.xml, we have the user slash then welcome controller slash welcome. So this is correct, user slash welcome. If I hit this one, then we should see whatever the JSP file we have the content, it should show hello welcome to fast web MVC application. This is working fine. Okay, today what we have done, we have configured this view name with the hard coded things. Okay, this is the JSP we are using, but uh, if we want for this after certain time, we just wanted to change our this welcome.jsp file to some other things, some any other kind of view. That is why the MVC recommend us to don't hard code these things. Instead of this, you can use we can use the uh, logical, it should whenever working with the Spring MVC, it should only return the logical view name instead of the hard coded view name. It should only send the logical view name. Okay, so in order to work with that, what we have to do, we have to delete everything. Then only we have to send the logical view name. But how this logical view name, we are sending only logical view name, right? uh, Logical view name, but this logical view name should be resolved by the Spring Web MVC, right? So in order to resolve this logical view name to the uh, physical view name, that is welcome.jsp, the Spring MVC provided one thing, that is the view resolver. With the help of the view resolver, which we have already discussed as part of the Spring Webflow in the previous class, that is a class. We need to configure that class as part of the application context. Here specifically welcome-servlet.xml file, that is our configuration class. We need to configure this, right? So, okay, so here we need to configure these things, and bin id is equals to view resolver, and specifically view resolver, and class name is something, I need to control N or command N in case of iOS. So this is internal resource view resolver. This is the things we are going to use. Okay, so we don't know the class name, so that is why we are searching and we are getting the package name. We have to provide the fully qualified name. Okay, so what I can show you, like I can what we can do, we can configure the fully qualified name, this one, dot internal resource view resolver, so that whatever the view name we are providing, that will be resolved by this view by the view resolver, and appropriate views it can find. Okay, and what we have to do, whatever the class we are doing, where we are hard coding class webnf class this view name dot jsp, so we have to configure this property colon, this is prefix. Whatever the logical file before name is prefix we need to provide. That is we are hard coded value, that is web hyphen inf slash, that is views, this prefix is nothing but what, this is the web inf, this is the folder location, this is the prefix it will add. And then what is the suffix name, property file name suffix, and what is the value is dot jsp. Okay, so what it will do, the internal resource view resolver will get this, our Spring application will get the logical view name, that is the welcome from this controller, and with the help of the view resolver, what it will do, it will resolve the logical view name to the physical view, that is by appending webinf slash view, then logical view name, then suffix is dot .jsp. Okay, that means this is the file the Spring actually will find. Okay, so that is how we can work with this one. Okay, now everything we have configured. Now let me restart the application once again, and wait. Once the application is deployed, then we'll try to hit the same URL one more time. Okay, so if I go to this one and I will copy this location, and I will try to hit one more time welcome, then we can see whatever the way we are just tried before. Okay, okay. So we are getting some exception. Web-inf plus view class is not there. That means we have left out the slash while configuring. Okay. Let me go to this one slash view slash we have to append, and let me stop the server and let me rerun the server again. And when the application is started and deployed, then this is started. Let me go to this one and let me restart this one. Okay. As you can see, we are getting the message, hello, welcome to fast web MVC application. Okay, this is the things we are just, this is how we can work with the Spring MVC. Okay, that's all for this video. We'll meet in the next video with a new content of Spring web MVC application, right? Thank you.